Good morning and welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist congregation. It is so good to be together with you here in person and online. My name is Leslie McLean and I'm one of today's worship assistants. Today is a special day here at Emerson. Our minister, Reverend Christina Branum-Martin, is in the pulpit today along with our guest, Reverend Pippin Whitaker, the minister of the UU Fellowship of Athens. We are also gifted today with the music of the choirs of both congregations, with the leadership of Kathy Middleman and Amber Fettner. Our pianist and music director, Bruce King, our storytellers, and our AV team put it all together. We are so grateful for everyone involved in today's service. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, wherever you were born, whatever language you speak, you are welcome here. Whatever your skin color, whatever your class background, whatever your range of abilities, you are welcome here. We are so glad that you chose our congregation as your place of worship this morning. We come together for worship in order to slow down and listen for the callings of our hearts, our spirits. We come together for worship so that we can be reminded of our highest aspirations and continue to transform ourselves into our best selves. If you're joining us for the first time this morning, welcome. After the service, we gather for coffee and social connection in the fellowship hall, down the hall and on the right. Please join us. Now we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalism faith with these words by the Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. Jay, thank you for lighting the chalice this morning. We light this flame in memory of the ancestors who loved us into being, and for those in the future on whom we bestow our love. In the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's share in our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike, to love alike. Today, we invite you to offer a greeting to your neighbor with a warm smile. Take a moment to turn to your left and to your right and offer a greeting of love and welcome.
Hello, I'm Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. It is such a pleasure to be with you today and to be with a colleague up here together. And may we celebrate today, a moment where we look back at who brought us into this world and we look forward into the ways in which we make a difference by just being who we are. Today we're going to be talking about ancestors. Now, ancestors certainly are the people in the generations past who have birthed us and fed us and held us and even dreamed about who we may be one day. But you know, ancestors sometimes are the people who loved us into being. That might have been a teacher. It might have been a neighbor. It might have been somebody in the generations past who thought about what they wanted for the generations to come. So let ancestors be a group of people who loved you. And let's keep that in mind. Our opening words today are that this is a space of hope and community, and we bring all our sorrows and our joys and our passion and our open, loving hearts. We enter in this space with all the stories of our varied experiences of our lives. And from them, we find strength and wisdom. And we move alongside the companions that we live with. And all those people in this community also help us, ground us in love. May we be mindful that we are building into the world our vision of love and compassion for what we hope to see in the world, not just for us, but for our children, our grandchildren, and all the generations to come. Let this space be a space grounded in that mindful image. Let us worship together today.
My feet are rooted to the ground. Oh, la 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 la. My voice is soaring in the sky. La 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 la. I am tied to the past, beautifully tied.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. What a gift it is to have such glorious song. And Jay, would you help me with the stones this morning? Thank you so much. And guess what Eva wants to put a stone in for? This combined choir. Would you put a big one in for the choir? Yes. Yeah. Our stones are placed each week, recognizing that the things we carry in our hearts sometimes are heavy, and yet they also have smooth edges, and the water receives them with ease. And we place 3 stones every week. And the first stone we placed is in honor of the Cherokee and the Muskogee nations of the indigenous peoples who lived here on this land. The second we place is in memory of those who were wrongly enslaved and labored on this land. And the third, for all of those hurting in current conflicts and wars that are raging across our globe. May our prayers for peace come into being. Rebecca Edwards shares that she is sending healing prayers for her friend David Kay, who is having open heart surgery. May we hold David Kay and his family in our hearts. And C. Fambro wants to share that a couple of weeks ago, on February 16th, I became a champion speed skater. And the cool thing is, he says, really, for real. He got a gold medal and a bronze medal, and now he just needs to go a little faster, he said. And Caitlin Middleman says that as of tomorrow, I will be leaving a classroom behind to start a new job. I will be working as an education facilitator at the Atlanta History Center. And obviously, I'm very excited. And I also want to thank this congregation for welcoming me into ministry here. Yesterday, we had a big installation service. It was joyful, and I felt celebrated and welcomed in a way I'd never expected. Thank you. And the last one, Jay, is to thank the AV team for all the setup and for getting these screens up. This has been a dream. These screens, I understand, were a dream way before I came. And since COVID, there's been talk of getting these set up, and here we are. Thank you, Jay. Would you share with me in the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness? May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
One way we put our prayer of loving kindness into action is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. Our Share the Basket partner for March is the Must Ministries breakfast program for Hope House clients in Marietta. Because the number of unhoused people has risen, and because food is more expensive, we have chosen a 5-Sunday month in hopes that we can raise enough funds for the year. Must Ministries serves breakfast daily for clients at the Must Hope House in Marietta. Emerson volunteers cook and serve breakfast once a month, every second Monday, plus Thanksgiving and Christmas. Bringing the groceries and starting cooking at 5:30 a.m. to serve by 6:30. We plan for 75 breakfasts and, when possible, have an additional 30 for those waiting outside. Please let Mark Cobb know if you would like to help with this program. Our partnership with Must Ministries to fight food insecurity is a great way to serve our community. Please give generously to keep these programs going. The basket will now be passed. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see a card in the basket for other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org and select the Giving tab to donate. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, it's on.
Do we have a hand mic? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, you were fine. You just put it back in.
Oh.
Go turn it up.
Oh, they just turned it back on. I'm sorry. Momentary. Okay. Great. Good morning, all. I'm Patricia. I'm part of the story troupe. And the story that I'm reading today is a Ghanaian story called, and please, if there's anybody that speaks Ghanaian in the house, forgive me. Forgive my pronunciations. The story is called Sankofa, a culinary story of resistance, resilience, and belonging, and by Eric Adapang, illustrated by Layla Watkins. The last class bell rang, and Mrs. Boone watched as all the children packed their bags with smiles on their faces, ready to go home to their families. But she noticed there was one boy who wasn't smiling, Kofi. And don't forget, Mrs. Boone said to the children, Monday is our annual potluck lunch, so bring a dish that best represents your family's culture. As soon as Mrs. Boone said that word, Kofi felt a knot twist in his stomach. He had been dreading the potluck lunch all week. The family began eating, their conversation filling the air in between big bites of delicious food. Wohete se? Pape asked in Twi, his native Ghanaian language. How was school today, Kofi? Well, Kofi began, the knot in his stomach turning. Mrs. Boone asked everyone to bring in a dish for our class potluck next week. Kofi watched as both Mame and Pape put their forks down. Silence. He knew this was not good. I will help you, Kofi, Nana Baranga said. And just like that, the same knot in Kofi's stomach began to twist again. We'll go to the market first thing in the morning and let the ingredients speak to us, Nanga Baranga continued. Speak to us, Kofi said. That's right, my dear Kofi, Nana Baranga said. Every ingredient has a story, but you have to know how to listen. Now finish your food before it turns cold. Your mother worked very hard to give us this meal, and we shouldn't waste it. Do you hear that, Kofi? Nana Baringma asked. Kofi listened as vendors spoke quickly to each other and to customers. Some spoke in Twi, some in English, some in languages he had never heard before. Those are the sounds of our people, Nana Baringma said as he watched Kofi look around the new world before him. When I was your age, Kofi, my mama would take me to a market just like this in Kusama, Nana Baringma said. Where is Kusama? Kofi asked. Kusama is a city in Ghana, Nanga Baringma explained. I was born there into the Ashanti tribe, which means that you too, Kofi, are a member of the Ashanti tribe. I am? Kofi asked. Of course you are. You are the son of Tu Mame ni Pape, and they are both Ashanti, just like me and my parents. But I've never been to Africa, Kofi said. You will, in time. But you don't need to go to Africa to experience it. See, Kofi, Narabaringwa began, the harvesters take fresh turmeric, peel it, boil it, and then dry it out. Once it dries, they grind it into a powder and add other dried spices, like fennel, calabash, nutmeg, grains of cinnamon, and cinnamon. We pride ourselves on being resourceful with our food, even when there wasn't enough to go round. To make the limited food as delicious as possible, we learned to use spices. Curry is a mix of different spices. Each spice is important on its own, but when blended together, they tell an even more wonderful story. When the duo arrived at the next vendor, Kofi saw 3 different colors of plantains: green, yellow, and black. Nanabaringma explained how the green ones are unripe and need to be cooked before eating. They are perfect for making chips and fufu, Nanabaringma said. See, Kofi, Nanabaringma added, the harvesters pick the plantains from the tree at just the right time for ripeness. Kofi and Nanabaringma made their way to the rice vendor next. Nanabaringma told Kofi about all the different types of rice. Some grains are long, some are short, some are white, some are brown, and just like the spices, each rice has its own purpose and its own story. What is this one? Kofi asked as he picked up a sack of rice. That, my dear Kofi, is Carolina gold rice. Nanabaringma said it's some of the best rice in the whole world, and it's grown in America, but it wasn't always here. How'd it get here? Kofi asked. I will tell you the story. Kofi held the rice in his palm and let his mind drift. In the 1600s, our people were captured, Nanabaringma began. They were led against their will onto ships, torn away from their families, and forced into slavery. To enslave someone is to claim ownership over somebody else's life, controlling what they can do every day. Before they were captured, some of the enslaved people braided rice into their hair, hoping to have something familiar to grow and eat when they arrived in the new land. That new land was America. Kofi took a long moment to himself. It was the first time he had heard that story. Our ancestors brought their spices to America, Nanabaringma said. They were the ones who grew plantains here, and they were the ones who cultivated the land to grow rice. Without our ancestors, these foods wouldn't be here today. This is why we must understand where we come from to understand who we are. The story of food is also the story of who we are, and you should be proud of who you are. I am proud, Kofi said. Then why didn't you tell Mame and Pape about the potluck lunch? Nanabaringma asked. Were you ashamed of your culture? Kofi began. I've always felt so different from the other kids at school, and I didn't want to feel any more different by bringing in food that they had never tasted before. My dear Kofi, Nanabaringma said, you will soon learn that through food there is more than connects us, that separates us. I promise you that. Now let's go home and cook. I have something I want to show you. This cookbook is our family's oldest heirloom, Nanabaringma said, handing the book to Kofi. An heirloom is something that gets passed down from one generation to the next. My mother gave this to me, and I gave it to your mother, and one day she will give it to you, he said. Kofi held the book and read the title, Sankofa. In our language, Twi, we have a saying, Sankofa Wunoki. It means that we must look back into the past for traditions and stories that have been left behind, Nanabaringma said. Otherwise, our culture will vanish. Culture. There was that word again. This is jollof. It's a dish from Ghana. my home in West Africa, Kofi said to the class. And I have a story to tell all of you about all the different ingredients in the dish. Mrs. Boone watched as Kofi told the story of his people, of the dish, and of his African culture to the class. A great big smile ran across Kofi's face. The end. Yes, some. Love is the doctrine of this church.
Quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thus do we promise to each other.
Sometimes the anthem really is just the sermon from the beginning to the end. And those words were by Maya Angelou, and wow, they were powerful. I came from a lineage, a long lineage of creative and stubborn and complicated people. Now, this might be a description of your family too, am I right? There are things in my home, things that have been passed down to me, or things that I gathered from family as their things were being dispersed after a generation has moved on into the generation beyond this world. Those things are special to me. They carry stories. They carry a sense of connection to who I am now. And in these items, I see them in my daily life, and they remind me of who I am, where I have come from, and who I want to be, and what I want to lead my family into an idea of who they are too. Now, some of the items are beautiful. I have a couple lasting hand-blown cocktail glasses that were from my great-grandmother's collection. And they're used on special events, and even most recently at my sister's wedding. I don't know how they managed to survive all these years, but they remind me of beauty. They remind me of a connection, of even when things are hard, we cherish these small items and these small moments together. Another is an unplayable, old and weathered, but with beautiful inlay violin that I understand came from a great-great-grandfather who came from Germany when he immigrated in the 1800s. And I can imagine the stories it might tell. And on my mantle is a silver gelatin photo of my grandmother when she was really young. I'm choking up a little bit thinking about it. She smiles back at me every day with the twinkle in her eye and a small dimple. And I want to think of her this way, always looking forward with hope and imagination. These items are mementos, small, simple things like a glass or a violin, just a photo. They might not mean much to others, but they mean a lot to me and my family. These stories remind me of the lyrics of a song that sometimes we sing, which is titled We Are, and it was written by Dr. Isaiah Barnwell. She says, "We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. And we are the breath of the ancestors and the Spirit of God." So yes, I feel my forebears' prayers and dreamings in these small items. But I have to be honest too. I share that those stories and their lives lived have painful realities too. I remember the racism that was spouted from some of my forebears' lips that I heard as a child. I know that they lived lives that were hard and difficult, some of them living through the Depression, and I know that their dreams didn't come true. But I know that these ancestors still have something to teach me. Perhaps it is to teach me to not do as I did. The writer Rachel Hayes writes that the lessons of our ancestors can be that we learn how to repair the harm, and at least not repair the harm, redo the harm done again. the Buddhist teaching of radical acceptance has helped me understand and come to terms with those parts of my lineage that I carry forward in their stories and in seeing them in the fullness of who they are, in the fullness of their humanity, in the fullness of their stories. That I also accept that with radical acceptance, I need to separate myself in a non-attached way from the painful situations and emotions that they lived through and perhaps even perpetuated. Now, with that acceptance, that radical acceptance, I can accept their stories and know that I am able to change that story for me and my further generations. My life can be an example of what can be carried forward now. I am responsible, and I reflect on what they taught me, both by example and by story, and I choose now to create new stories. I think about the Unitarian Universalist teachings also, that we are accountable to each other, that when things happen that were hard, that we come back to the table and we come back to be together to find a solution and a way forward in relationship grounded in love. And that I have titled Radical Responsibility. I am responsible, and I choose to create a new story. I choose that for my children, and perhaps for the grandchildren that may come one day, and for the generations that will follow them. As Dr. Isaiah Barnwell continued in her song, we are the mothers of courage and the fathers of time. We are the daughters of dust and the sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are the makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. This, my friends, is an example of radical responsibility. May we practice this too, and may our stories and our actions with our children and your children carry forward and be grounded in love and compassion and responsibility for all of those who come after us.
I'm Reverend Pippin, in case you hadn't guessed. Here we are, in the present moment, living our lives just in our body space, in our body reach, seeking guidance from ancestors that are in our bloodline, ancestors that are in our friend line, ancestors that might be some great thinker that inspires us. And we're trying to pull from these ancestors to know where on earth to go. Because this present moment just doesn't feel quite like those other present moments. And what do the ancestors know? And I'm pointing back at you, but I don't mean you. What do the ancestors know about this moment? Could they have imagined? Maybe some of them. Maybe right now we try to reach for ancestors that saw something so uncertain as this moment that we're in. This moment where we might be feeling like things are changing faster than we thought they could, where we're losing things we thought were assured. So how do we turn to the ancestors, and how do we have any kind of direction for what we do in a time when it seems like we need to do everything, and we know we can't? We can take something from the ancestors, and that is that some of them did a small little thing, and it led to you here now. Some chance meeting led to your birth because two beings happened to meet, and that was just chance. So a small thing can lead to a big thing. Have you heard the saying that if a butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the planet, later you could have a thunderstorm here as a result? I am not a meteorologist, so I can't vouch to the factual accuracy of that, but I know in my heart there's a truth to it. There's a truth. The thing is, we can see the ripple effect from our ancestors and know that we have some mysterious, untold power in the present moment. A power that might feel insignificant, but if you let your imagination reach to the next few generations, think about the lives you might touch in 100 or 200 years, and suddenly you're no longer insignificant. Your moment of power on this earth, no matter your age, your moment of power on this earth has only just begun. You've only just begun. It's kind of a big responsibility. And I think with that big responsibility, we ought to ask ourselves an equally big question. And fortunately, for a bookworm like me, there is a book for that. And the book is titled, "What Kind of Ancestor Do You Want to Be?" What a question. What kind of ancestor do you want to be? It's a book edited by John Hausdorfer, Brooke Hecht, Melissa Nelson, and Catherine Cummings, and they tell us this. If you want to be a good ancestor, listen up. A good ancestor empowers the living to live well, so that life may flourish and the channel between the ancestors and the descendants may continue to flow. So your time in this present moment is to reach back to the ancestors and allow all that power and goodness to flow on to future generations. And they go on. They say being a good ancestor means understanding, oh, I wish people were really listening to this advice, understanding how to handle power, when to hold it, when to hand over the power, and how to transform it. Just as our bodies, the fundamental sources of our power, will be transformed when breathing ends, they say, so we can begin to practice being ancestors today by recognizing how we want to transform power, the life force that we've been given. So how do we move this power? In what direction? It's such a big, amorphous question. They offer a powerful metaphor, a beautiful metaphor. And this metaphor, this teaching, even this question that they ask, is rooted in the ethical traditions of the diverse indigenous communities of Turtle Island, they explain. Turtle Island, this continent we live on. One of the co-editors of the book, Melissa Nelson, from the Anishinaabe and Metis traditions, speaks to those roots. We are like rivers, she says, flowing from humble springs, where fresh waters emerge from primal wombs of fertility and rebirth. We are the result of all those ancestral waters flowing back to the liquid mother. As we travel down mountains and along riverbanks, flowing between roots and amongst liquid minerals and sediments, we merge with all those stories, all those memories, all those life forces as our waters flow and grow and transform.
into the new habitat for new life. Our direction is out to the ocean of our dreams. The ocean of our dreams. The question, what kind of ancestor do you want to be, has acted like a tether for me. It's a tether that has little tendrils that have hooked into little everyday aspects of my life and pulled me into asking this question, well, what kind of ancestor do I want to be? I've been finding myself asking these kinds of questions, leading into some kind of bigger dream into generations ahead in the most mundane activities. When I'm calling the phone company and asking about the lack of cell coverage, I'm somehow wondering how this interaction might somehow impact future generations. It's kind of the idea of being constantly watched, but it's constantly powerful, constantly responsible, constantly accountable. So some of my choices, like what kind of coffee to buy, are no longer only about how it's related to the ancestors who picked it, or gathered the coffee, or roasted the coffee, which is important and vital, but also what will happen to future generations with my choice of coffee. And also, don't drink too much of it, because then I can't sleep, and then what's that going to do to the future generations if I'm grouchy in the morning? This hook, what kind of ancestor do you want to be? I've realized it's not just this sort of moral obligation. It doesn't feel like a weight of responsibility. Oh, now I have to make this choice that it could impact who knows who. It actually feels like a new dream. I'm hooked in, tied in, imagining down the generations how what I choose to do can be part of this flow into the ocean that I dream of. The ocean that looks to me like beloved community. If you're thinking about what job to apply for, or what to do with your retirement, or what app to download for your entertainment, know that you can have a bigger imagination than that moment of power. Your imagination could run far and flow into the ocean of your dreams. Our whole life is just this one moment in an ancient, lasting lineage. Let us reach back to the root flows of our lineage. Let us hook in to the tap roots of love and let our force, our power, run out to the ocean of beloved community. Let ours be a lineage that we are going to love. Let ours be a lineage that the descendants will look back and be grateful for. Let ours be a lineage that the future generations will be grateful that we flowed into. Amen. Now, Reverend Christina and I have been thinking a lot about ancestors, as you might imagine, in preparation for this service. We have been thinking about the reach to the ancestors, the flowing back. And we have a poem to share. And in this poem, we go 3 generations back, and we each share a line, and then 2 generations, and then 1 generation. And then we have a line for this, our present moment. And then a line of aspiration and longing to the next generation, and then 2 generations out, and then 3. From ancestor to ancestor.
I am from the transcendentalist who painted incredible portraits late into the night, often not sleeping with so much excitement.
I'm from a farmer who embodied honesty, devoted to family, but believed in racial difference.
I am from the child who grew up with luxury and abundance to lose almost all of their belongings, but their dreams in the Great Depression.
I'm from a single mom in the 40s who was tough, cynical, and funny.
I am from the mother who taught me to joyfully create art, to foster my own dreams, and how to laugh when it was hard.
I am from the belief that life is too short to cut off ties with loved ones.
I am resilient and playful.
I am the choice to honor all of my relationships.
I am creating safe space for self-expression and acceptance.
I am creating the possibility for joy and care amid struggle.
I am creating a means for honoring the needs of others with love and compassion.
I'm creating unconditional love and compassion for each soul and all life.
I am creating a legacy of unconditional love and radical responsibility.
I am creating hope that mutual liberation takes hold. Amen.
Amen. We're going to sing together now. This is not something that's in the hymnal. This is a song written by Bacha Levine. It's called We Rise. And the words will be available to you, and we're ready. Okay.
We rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, we rise.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. And now we've got some announcements that Michael will help us with.
Good morning. I would like to invite Lawrence and Jai to come up here. We have a special announcement from the youth and children in the program. And then I have one more announcement after that.
Hi everyone, my name is Jai Fambro, and this is my friend Lawrence Grohl. My brain it works. Go.
Hello, we're here today because we want to make a difference for the people in our community who don't have a place to call home.
Imagine waking up every day without a toothbrush, soap, or even deodorant. Things we don't think twice about, but are really important for our health and confidence.
That's why we're putting together hygiene kits to donate to Must Ministries. These kits will have essentials like shampoo, toothpaste, razors, and more. Items that can make a huge difference for someone who doesn't have a home.
And here's the easiest part. You don't even have to leave your house to help. We've put together an Amazon wish list with everything we need to build these hygiene kits.
All you have to do is click the link, pick an item, and Amazon will send it straight to us. No shopping trips, no hassle, just a simple way to make a big impact.
Every item donated helps someone feel clean, confident, and cared for. Whether you send a package of toothbrushes or a box of Ziploc bags, to your generosity means everything.
So, check out the Amazon list, share it with friends, grandparents, aunts, uncles, work associates, and let's work together to bring hope and dignity to those who need it most.
You can find the link on the QR code that is on the back of the flyer you will receive in the notebook and in our Instagram posts. Thank you for your support.
Let's make a difference, one hygiene kit at a time.
Thank you.
Thank you, you two. You're great to do that. We're super excited about this service project that we're doing. You will be met at the doors, no matter what door you try to get out. There will be a child or youth there with a flyer, so take it. All right? Second announcement I have, we're going to do something different because, hey, we are growing, right? It's awesome. But that limits us in certain spaces when there's food involved, if you know what I mean. So if you are part of the RE program, parents, children, youth, we are now going to be upstairs in the gray carpeted room and the kindergarten room. And we will have our own buffet. And we've got a buffet today, people. Not just, what the adults are getting. So I will see you upstairs. Do not go into the fellowship room. Go upstairs if you're part of the RE program.
Together we have reached beyond the shadows. We have raised a song of truth to right the wrong. We've awakened in this place the healing thrilling sounds of grace. We have sung for peace and pride with voices strong.
Together we have raised a call for healing. We have lifted high the songs of joy and praise. All the music and our art we have given from the heart. In this quest unending we have kept the faith.
Love has always been our song. Love has always been the reason we sing. All our hopes and dreams became our music. Love has always been our song. We have boldly marched as one on groundless ground. When words were not enough, we raised an awesome sound. We have raised 1,000 hallelujahs. We have sung for those who had no voice. In all our music, with every love song, we fill this house with glorious God. Oh, we have raised a testament of freedom. We have broken down the walls of hate and fear. With a message clear and bright, we have sung into the night. We have built a legacy to last the years. Now with unity we sing about the future. For there are words and music still a song. So faithful to our call, we dedicate our all. We will change the world with voices raised as one. Love will always be our song. Love will always be the reason we sing. In the dreams we share, there's glorious music. Love will always be our song. This is our legacy. This is our destiny. Love will always be our song. Love will be our
Go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.